What do F1 bosses really think of Charles Leclerc? The love for F1 among the general public is totally unbeatable, and the F1 bosses who practically rule the fields and the teams certainly have a lot to say at times. But what do these bosses think about Charles Leclerc? Is this related to his recent failure in the 2022 Formula 1 Imola Grand Prix? Well, Max Verstappen took full advantage of Ferrari's Charles Leclerc's engine problem to win the Azerbaijan Formula 1 Grand Prix and extend his championship lead. Max easily came out on top and was declared the winner despite the fact that Charles was in full form this time and everyone expected him to win. Over the years, F1 bosses have come out to say a lot about Charles, some disappointed, some happy, and some simply pointing out the flaws in his driving. So what occurred, and what do these bosses have to say about Charles Leclerc in general? Keep tuned in till the end to find it all out. Charles Leclerc is a Monegasque racing driver who is currently signed to Scuderia Ferrari until the end of the 2024 season. Leclerc made his Formula 1 debut in 2018 with the Ferrari-affiliated Sauber team. After finishing last the year before, Leclerc spearheaded the charge to move Sauber up to 8th in the constructors' standings, and he was the higher-ranked of the two Sauber drivers. Then at the 2019 Bahrain Grand Prix, he became the second youngest driver in Formula 1 history to qualify on pole position. Leclerc even won for the first time in his career in Belgium during the 2019 season and became the youngest driver to win the pole trophy. Charles has made incredible progress when it comes to driving on fields throughout the years. For this year's Grand Prix, Charles Leclerc and Ferrari arrived in Spain with optimism, bringing many new modifications for the F175. The driver topped the timesheets during the two free practice sessions and even followed it up with a fantastic performance in Q3, securing him pole position. Furthermore, Leclerc brilliantly timed his car to cross the track and defend against Max Verstappen as the lights went out until calamity hit. He was in a league of his own. He was forced to quit the race as his car unexpectedly lost power. The outcomes were heartbreaking, since his title rival, Verstappen, won the race. Despite the fact that Charles was plainly frustrated, he maintained his composure when other team bosses and the audience had a lot to say. Mattia Binotto, Ferrari team boss. Ferrari team principal, 52-year-old Mattia Binotto, spoke with Auto Motor and Sport about his thoughts on the driver and his performance in the Grand Prix, and surprisingly, the Italian boss was full of admiration for him. He seemed genuinely pleased with Charles's performance, stating that his mistake had nothing to do with pressure. He even added that racing drivers are used to pushing themselves to their limits while on track. This year's cars have a stiffer suspension. You risk losing your car if you get too high on the curb. We weren't aiming for the bonus point for the fastest lap, but rather for second place. It is never a bad idea to ask a driver to push. That is a necessary aspect of our profession. It's part of their job to push the car to its limits, and obviously, in such a case, errors can occur. Mattia is still in amazement over Charles and the manner in which Leclerc realized his error instantly as he came to a halt. He also stated how the racer promised him that he would come back even stronger and that he had nothing to complain about now. Toto Wolff, Mercedes. Toto Wolff, an Austrian millionaire motorsport executive investor and even a former racing driver, is currently the team boss for Mercedes, and despite the fact that the former racer has yet to remark on Max's completely unexpected win or Charles's one dumb turn that made him lose the race, he has frequently praised Charles's on-track performance during the Grand Prix. Mercedes, on the other hand, has not been able to dazzle with their efforts this season, and they are well behind in the championship title. Toto Wolff, despite this, has praised the fight between Verstappen and Leclerc, particularly Leclerc's performance. After the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Wolff told Sky Sports, "I like it personally, and for me, Leclerc's driving was amusing to see." Toto, in particular, appeared completely in awe of his opponent team's driver, and his support for Charles is certainly commendable. Christian Horner, Red Bull. Christian Edward Johnston Horner is a former British racing driver and the current team principal of the Red Bull Formula 1 team, a position he has held since 2005 and during which he has won 9 world championships. When Ferrari won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, Christian Horner had a lot to say, and it wasn't all pleasant. "After all, it was a relatively easy win," commented Red Bull team principal Christian Horner, sympathizing with Ferrari and Charles Leclerc on their win. Phenomenal result, Horner exclaimed. Please accept my condolences for Charles and Ferrari. I think the fans today missed out on a wonderful finale because with the offset we had by driving longer on the medium tires, I believe we would have had a tire advantage in the back portion of the race. However, they were given an easy win without a tough fight, and that's okay. He also shared his thoughts on the rivalry between his own reigning world champion Max Verstappen and Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, stating he feels the two drivers have a real respect for each other as they prepare for combat and it's nothing too serious. Andreas Seidl, McLaren. Andreas Seidl is a manager and engineer in the German motorsport industry. He was previously the team principal of the hybrid Porsche LMP1 program and is currently the team principal of the McLaren Formula One team. Andreas is a thorough hater of Charles and his team. At the Japanese Grand Prix in 2019, Andreas Seidl strongly criticized Charles Leclerc for putting everyone at risk by racing with a damaged front wing that was dropping pieces. Seidl was not impressed, to say the least. Basically, Leclerc collided with Max Verstappen on the first lap, causing the Ferrari driver's front wing to be damaged. Rather than pitting for repairs, Leclerc drove for several laps since he didn't believe the damage had harmed his car's performance. The wing eventually dropped its end plate, which was stuck in Lando Norris's brake duct, who was a McLaren racer, enraging Andreas, their team boss. Obviously, we strongly oppose racers driving their vehicles out on track with their entire front wing end plates hanging down, causing danger to everyone out there, he said. We literally had to force Charles to press his brakes since the temperature was over the roof. The race ended at that point. I mean, he still tried and put in a big effort in terms of speed to get back, but it wasn't possible. Well, that was a little nasty, but considering how Charles influenced McLaren's performance at the Grand Prix, the boss was justified in his anger. Frederic Vasseur, Alfa Romeo. Frederic, the boss of Alfa Romeo, is Charles' biggest fan and supporter. During Leclerc's debut season in Formula One, when the team was known as Sauber, Vasseur worked with him. Leclerc has continued to improve since then, and he has shown a lot of potential in his debut year with Ferrari. Frederic Vasseur has noticed traits in Charles Leclerc that lead him to believe the Ferrari driver will win the World Championship. Vasseur went on to claim that outside of his own squad, Leclerc is the only driver he keeps an eye on and that Leclerc 100% deserves all of his achievements. I'm thrilled for him, he continued, because he had a terrific season. It could have been a little better without Bahrain and the other races, but he did a fantastic job. He has amazing qualifying speed, which is extremely impressive. I'm overjoyed for him because I believe he fully deserves it. Well, it's all fantastic to see bosses supporting each other's employees. Ultimately, F1 bosses are strong people with strong opinions about the racers and they aren't afraid of voicing it all out. In the case of Charles Leclerc, even though not everything said is positive, but certainly good to see other teams' bosses admiring his performance on the field. And even though he didn't win this time, we wish him to come back stronger and conquer. So that's it for today's video, everyone. What are your thoughts on Charles and the opinions of these F1 bosses? Make sure to let us know through the comments section below. We hope you found this video entertaining. If so, please share and give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. Your support is without a doubt the most motivating factor for us to keep creating and offering you new content. We'll be back with another interesting video soon, but in the meantime, remember to stay safe.